So combating griefers while you're selling goods in a public lobby can be a little tricky. But of course, selling goods in a public lobby can also be super beneficial, and by that I mean it can be very lucrative as far as how much money you can actually make. In some cases, you can actually make almost double what is actually promised in the initial launch of the cell mission. Let's take the Acid Lab cell mission for example. With the Acid Lab upgrade, it says that I can make $335,200 for a single cell mission, and that is what I get if I did this in an invite only. But of course, since I did this in a public session, I actually got $502,800, and that's over $200,000 more than what was initially promised. In this video, I'm basically going to show you all the options that Rockstar gives you to actually combat griefing so that you can sell in public lobbies. I'm basically going to be breaking down all the businesses and explaining what types of missions that they may spawn. And from there, I'm going to let you know how exactly you can combat griefing if that were to happen. The first one I want to talk about is the Nightclub sale mission. The Nightclub sale missions are one of the easiest missions that you can do no matter what variation it is. I think there's only like 3 or 4 different types of missions. And the missions are all pretty easy, especially since there's only one vehicle that spawns. Depending on how much product you're selling, depends on which vehicle will spawn. When you buy a Nightclub, there are 3 different vehicles that you can get for selling goods. One of them is an automatically free van that you can customize to make this thing a beast. But you can also purchase a mule custom and a pounder custom. Now again, I don't exactly know the numbers, but I know that depending on how much product you're selling, it will kick it to the next vehicle up. The mule custom and the pounder custom are both purchasable at Warstock, but you have to make sure it says the word custom, because I believe there's a regular mule you can purchase for some reason. But the really cool thing about the Nightclub business is that these 3 vehicles are extremely customizable, and they become a beast if you fully customize them. They have weapons and some really amazing armor, and the best part is that there's always only one sell vehicle when selling Nightclub goods. So I definitely do recommend selling this one in a public lobby for sure, because it actually gives you a pretty decent way of combat griefers. And also, you can do what I do when you start up a mission, immediately call Lester and go off the radar for 1 minute, and it will cost you $500, but it's pretty cheap. And of course, it's only 1 minute. So as soon as it ends, go into your interactive menu, go into the CEO menu, and activate Ghost Organization for $12,000. This is going to give you 3-minute timer where you are completely off the radar, and I recommend doing that for any mission that you can do that. But that's pretty much it for the Nightclub business. Now, I do recommend only doing this as a CEO. I mean, you can sell goods registered as an MC president, but I would rather just take my word for it. Always go for a CEO rather than an MC president. Now let's talk about the bunker business. This is a very lucrative business to have. Purchasing a bunker is highly recommended because this is still the best business in the game. Now, when I sold this, I did not have full stock, but I still got $882,000 at the end, and that was because I sold in a public lobby, because initially I would have gotten $588,000 if I sold in an invite-only session, so that's literally a $300,000 more, just by selling in a public lobby. And that's what makes it worth selling in a public lobby. Now the thing is about the bunker business is that when you have enough stock, it requires more than one sell vehicle, and it's extremely hard to actually do this solo, like literally the hardest thing to complete. And that's because most of the missions only give you 15 minutes to complete rather than the standard 30 minutes as other missions. I mean, there is one mission that does give you 30 minutes to complete, but it's still impossible to do solo even with that. So when you sell guns, I do recommend getting some friends together or inviting random people. I had one friend helping me on this, and I also invited a random stranger. So I had 2 other people helping me, and I actually recommend you having 2 other people helping you just so that you can get all your guns sold. Now you're probably worried about griefers. There is one really cool feature that I absolutely love with the bunker sell missions. So when you're basically selling guns, Rockstar had actually disabled any lock-ons for missiles. So this was actually the perfect example because we had somebody trying to actually grief us, and initially I forgot that the lock-on was disabled for selling guns, but it was. So he shot a couple times and then he decided to give up. And that's exactly what griefers do. They can't lock on to you, so they're like, oh, screw this. Well, don't 100% quote me on that one. I should say most griefers, because I have encountered griefers that are extremely determined to destroy your stuff. This just makes it a little bit harder for them. Before I continue with this video, there is one thing that I should mention, and if you were happen to get grief and someone is starting to destroy your stock, you can quickly find another lobby, because if you find another lobby, you will save most of your stock. You might lose maybe $10,000 or $20,000, but it's really nothing to be that upset about. But I will mention that changing lobbies can be a little annoying sometimes, but it still beats losing all of your stock. One thing to keep in mind is that this does take a lot of time to be grinding a business like this, and like I said before, don't forget if you register as a CEO for these businesses, because anything that is not an MC business, you can register as a CEO, and that is one thing that I recommend doing at all times. Now let's talk about some special cargo cell missions. I actually haven't done a special cargo mission in quite some time, and I actually did one just for this video. Now these cell missions all have vehicles that you can customize as well. These 3 vehicles are a bus, a plane, and a boat. Now granted, nothing is really as elaborate as in the Nightclub, but I still recommend upgrading them. Now these missions are honestly easy to be griefed, so the only thing that I could actually recommend for these types of cell missions is if someone starts blowing up your stuff, I would recommend just finding a new session, because you can't actually get a partial payment on special cargo. Unfortunately, they only accept full sales, so you're not able to really combat much with this, which really sucks. I mean, it does take quite a few missiles, but the only thing really you can do here is activate Ghost Organization and, of course, call Lester and go off the radar for 1 minute. And moving on to cars, there's not really much to actually say about this, because there isn't really any way you can actually defend against griefing in this one. Basically, you run cars and you're pretty much open to get destroyed regardless. And what sucks about this is the only thing you can do is if you see someone coming is to just find a new session, because these cars are very easy to blow up. I mean, of course, you can always go Ghost Organization, but I kind of feel like this one has the least amount of money out of everything that I'm talking about. So I kind of feel going Ghost Organization will basically take $12,000 from you. So I mean, I guess you can go off the radar as Lester too, but it's kind of your choice. I mean, because the only thing that really sucks is if you do this in an invite only session, which is what I did here, which is what you see on your screen, there are NPCs that will chase after you, and you will probably not get the full amount. One more thing that I should mention, that if you have multiple cars in your car chop shop, I guess is what it would be, you can actually sell them with a buddy. So like in this example here, I had 2 cars, and so I decided to sell 2 cars, 2 top range cars with my friend. Now finally, the last thing I want to talk about is Motorcycle Club goods. And that's about all there is to say about it. Yes, it's the same, and there is no way, absolutely no way, of combating griefers while selling Motorcycle Club goods, except maybe going off the radar, but that still leaves all your other stuff open. As an MC president, you can't go ghost, you can't, like I said, the only thing you can do is actually go off the radar. Now, I do 100% recommend having a friend to help you sell these, but with the exception of the stupid post-op van mission, you can 100% complete every one of these missions solo. I mean, of course, you can always find a new session as well. Now, with the Motorcycle Club businesses, you can lose some of your stock and get like partial payments and stuff like that, which is okay, I guess. But selling in a public lobby will also get you a high demand bonus as well. So I do recommend doing that just with some friends. But from here, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, and if you enjoyed it and found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for more videos a lot like this. And until next time, you may not see me, but I'm sure you'll probably most likely hear my voice in the next video. Be blessed.